Hello, I am Paula Bennett and welcome to my New Zealand Herald podcast, Ask Me Anything. One thing I've learned in life, Guy, is it's never too late to learn something new. So on this podcast, I talk to people from all walks of life to hear about how they got to where they are and get some advice and guidance on some of life's biggest questions. Yes, I purposely gave it away. Guy Williams is very well known for his unique, sometimes outrageous and abrasive style of comedy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, he started out in stand-up before moving to our TV screens as a regular co-host on Jono and Ben, whom I love. Nowadays, Guy hosts news and documentary show. I must have been quoting someone else because is it really a news and documentary? We'll come back to that.
No, I call it comedy.
Okay.
Yeah.
New Zealand Today, as well as touring a stand-up. This week, Guy will be performing his new show at the New Zealand International Comedy Festival, and he's popped in for a chat. Hello.
This is awesome.
I'm loving it. I've actually been really looking forward to talking to you, to be honest.
That sounds like a lie.
I'm a big fan of Today.
New Zealand Today?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
No, I'm not kidding. I think I've told you before that the monkey guy...
the man who stole... Oh, thank you.
It's probably I think I've watched it 3 times. And for anyone out there that hasn't watched it, they really should. Because it's kind of got heart.
Yeah.
And it's got absurdity. And it's got
Kiwiana. I genuinely appreciate that because it's like when a politician, when you ask a politician a question, they go, good question. It's not a good question. They're just like stalling to think. I thought you were doing that to me at the top of the show and going like, I really love this show. When you called it Today, I was like, this person has no idea. But then you named quite a deep cut of an episode. So I was like, you have seen that and you're being genuine there. So thank you.
Do you know what did annoy me though yesterday when I was thinking about talking to you today was that I couldn't remember the song he sung in the stadium at the end.
Yeah. So
Wellington Stadium.
So for people who don't know, it's on YouTube or 3 Now or whatever website it's on. I interviewed a man who made headlines in New Zealand for breaking into Wellington Zoo and stealing a monkey to impress his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. And like most wacky New Zealand stories, the answer to the riddle was that he was very drunk at the time. But it was an amazing effort and a grand romantic gesture, you have to admit.
And he hurt himself, didn't he?
Yeah, well, I mean, when someone's, like most big New Zealand adventures, it was fueled by alcohol, sadly. And he tried to jump down onto the athletics running track for anyone who knows Wellington. And he made it. But he did not make it without cracking his leg badly, which was crazy because the police were looking for him. It was a wild ride and
she
amazing guy.
She didn't really appreciate it.
Believe it or not, she didn't appreciate her boyfriend breaking into the zoo, trying to steal a monkey, failing to steal a monkey, jumping off a 12-metre drop, breaking his own leg, hiding from police, getting arrested, and then waking up the next morning and going, babe, I did this all for you.
Yes.
It didn't work out. But the scene we tried to recreate to win her back was from one of my favourite films. It's called 10 Things I Hate About You, Heath Ledger.
Oh, yeah.
And the song is I Love You, Baby.
Oh, yeah,
and Heath Ledger uses it to win over the girl. I think it's based on a Shakespearean play, if you can believe that. But yeah, that song, we licensed it. We got the Wellington Pipe Band. It was like one of the highlights of my life, I think.
Yeah, I love it.
And not surprising, I don't want to spoil it, what happened, but it didn't go, like most things I do in my life, it didn't go very well. Yeah.
Anyway, I am sorry for not doing the proper title of New Zealand Today.
Yeah.
But I do love that quirky side. So we're going to talk in the second half more about the Melbourne Comedy Festival and what you're doing because we've got that. But in this first half, we normally talk a bit more about you.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so we'll do a bit more.
I think this podcast is an incredibly flawed concept. I love it. I'm stoked to be here. But when I saw that I was doing a podcast with Paula Bennett, I assumed that I was doing the interview. And I was asking you, because you have had an amazing life, an amazing career. You've been a politician, you've been a public figure for so long. And I have been a comedian. And I've done some interesting hijinks, but they've all been kind of interesting on... my life is kind of boring when you go oh, what happened here? But most of it was kind of almost scheduled to go wrong, or it was in comedy, it's you expect wacky things to happen because we try and do wacky things. Where in your life, you've probably had unbelievable things happen that were not planned as is the life of any politician. It's a crazy life.
True.
So I wish I was interviewing you here, so it's going to be hard for me to not ask you questions.
But like you, and let's talk about this, is, what you have described as a love of small town New Zealand.
Yeah.
And if you asked me what one of my favourite parts about being a politician was small town New Zealand.
Yeah.
Like you genuinely go in and of course people randomly come up to me in the street and also you do see people at their kind of most vulnerable and their worst a lot of the time, and I'm not saying that's enjoyable, but the fact that you actually get to be, part of some people's troubled lives and actually get to know them and hopefully help them a bit.
Well, that's also what New Zealand is. It's kind of sad the way our bigger cities, we all have become through the internet homogenized, and we're all into like, I know I'm wearing Birkenstock sandals and, we're all from like everything I'm wearing is probably from overseas, like not that I'm well dressed, but like we've become like such a victim of globalization. When you land at Auckland Airport, the first thing you see is a Wendy's and a Taco Bell, and it's like you don't really feel that barefoot Kiwiana that we celebrate in advertising, and that when we think of New Zealand until we go to, at least Aucklanders go to their beach houses, or you go to Taumaranui or like these small towns, Oamaru. Like small town New Zealand is a wild place, and I like to experience it, and most people have to live in a big city for their job, and it's like, if you're from Christchurch and want to know what small town New Zealand's like, that's why my show's good, and that's what I love.
Yeah.
It's a privilege.
And some of those, there's great North Island small towns, don't get me wrong, but there is something about that South Island, and the Geraldines and the...
Yeah, well, I'm from Nelson, so I kind of grew up in that environment, and it is wild. And it's like the West Coast is, whenever I tell people to visit New Zealand, I'm like, if you want a nice, relaxing holiday, don't go to the West Coast. But if you want to go off-road, and you don't have to literally go off-road, you can stay on the main road and still be like, where am I and what planet I'm on? The most beautiful scenery and the most wild experiences happen on the west coast of the South Island, man.
Yeah,
it's wild out there. I went to a town, Haast, that didn't have cell phone reception.
Yeah.
But I was there before they'd got it.
And when you're in Haast, you have to go to Jackson's Point, by the way.
Oh, you know Haast?
Yeah. I've done the...
You've done the circle.
I've done the circle a few times, but then we went and did it for a full 2 weeks, 3 summers ago, and we just struck the best weather, the best time.
Yeah.
Locals. So anyway, the locals took me swimming with wild dolphins.
And that's what you appreciate about New Zealand when you go overseas. It's just like, I've been living in Australia, or like gigging in Australia at least, and every time you travel overseas, you're like, you love it and you love the skyscrapers and the excitement, but it's like, what I love about New Zealand is how loose it is and how rugged it is, and it's like, people shouldn't throw things at politicians, but there's a sense of pride of the dildo into the face of Stephen Joyce, and the fact that he took it in good stride as well. That like, it's like, you don't obviously, I'm not recommending anyone throw anything at politicians. That should not happen. But like that, like when America is having assassinations and assassination attempts, that we have hopefully a soft dildo to the face. I don't know. You might know Stephen Joyce well and be like, hey, that was actually a huge trauma. But in my mind, like, that's what makes New Zealand cool, is that we're a bit loose and a bit like, it makes it friendly.
Yeah. No, I don't think there is any deep trauma there. I think
there was a soft dildo.
He's got a good sense of humour. And I just think, I think he'd rather not talk about it. But
yeah, and it would be annoying for him as well. That's one of the, because he wasn't a super well-known politician. He was always kind of he was high-ranking and powerful, obviously, but he was a bit behind the scenes. If you look at people like yourself might have been more high-flying, but he was. That's the event that kind of, once it launches onto the comedy lexicon, that's when you're in trouble.
That's when it's all over. Yeah. That's when it's there. Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned Nelson and the family. So all three of you.
You're like, keep this on you, Guy. Keep this on you.
A little bit, and then we're going to...
sorry.
I've actually got a lot that I want to talk about.
Let's go.
So I just have to do a bit of the family stuff, and then I can get into, because I want to talk globalisation.
Or race.
Because I think I disagree.
Okay.
But in a good way.
Okay.
You've got your timing wrong, but anyway, we'll get to that. So, family, so you've got all three, brother, sister, you're all comedians.
We're all comedians, yeah. My parents...
Are your parents funny?
They're very embarrassed.
Your dad is funny?
Yeah, my dad is naturally funny in a Kiwi dad sort of way. I wouldn't book him for a stand-up gig. I don't know if he could write for it. He doesn't really know that he has a charm, like a dad joke kind of charm, but where my dad is hilarious is just accidental, and that is that the world has passed him by. And I'd love to see a Curb Your Enthusiasm type show with my dad, because just everyday obstacles, he's just constantly getting into hijinks. It's like, people of my dad's ilk shouldn't be allowed. People who grow up in Mosgiel of Dunedin shouldn't be allowed on the internet. Like, he's always getting scammed and like doing weird stuff. Like the other day, he's embarrassed. My parents don't like me talking about them because I bring up embarrassing stuff, but I think it's funny and cute, and everyone goes through this. He tried to buy a telescope on Facebook. Guys, I'm telling you right now, and this is probably the audience for it, be very careful on Facebook. My parents told me, don't believe anything you read on the internet. And then they went on the internet and believed everything.
Yeah.
And my dad saw a telescope for $90. He's like, I have a deck. I could have a telescope. If a telescope costs $90, a telescope should cost hundreds of dollars. If it costs $90, something's wrong with it. Either it's very low quality, or in my dad's case, the telescope, hilariously, was 3 inches long.
Oh, no.
It was a miniature. You couldn't see. It wouldn't even work as a magnifying glass. And it's like, in the photo, it looks like a normal telescope. When you buy it, it's a miniature telescope, and it's so funny. And I was like, you got to laugh at that, Dad. You lost $90, but you've got a great story, you know?
It's amazing though, eh? Like with what people do believe that comes from Facebook. Like, you know, I got they were using me to sell diet gummy bears.
Oh my goodness!
People bought them. Guys.
Yeah.
Like, I just had the most heartbreaking phone calls and emails from people going, "Well, when are they turning up?"
Yeah.
And I'd go, "You've been scammed."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I had it from quite a few. Like, it was, and they said they would, because I kept getting it shut down, and then they'd come back up, and I just went, "How can you believe that I would be selling diet gummy bears and telling you that you'll lose 40 kg?"
And that's the terrible future. They probably just used a picture of you, but in the future they'll be able to do a exact video of you. I think it happened recently in Australia. It was Eddie Maguire, the TV host and kind of controversial footy figure, and he same thing. It was like some sort of crypto scam, and it was just like they believed Eddie Maguire. It's nice that they trusted you and thought, but like, yeah, it's a shame and it's scary.
Yeah, it's really scary, where it's all heading. Okay, so who's the funniest? Well, I've worked out your sister's the
I
better.
like how you
I've worked out your sister's the better looking.
Yeah.
By far.
I like how, don't tell my brother that. I think he thinks he's the looker of the family, but no, I'm joking. But I like how you've diverted away from our natural conversation and you wanting to push back on my comments about globalization.
No,
but then you're like, here's the question, the most softball, crappy question of all time. Who's the funniest?
Who's the funniest?
I mean, we're all got different strengths and weaknesses. I mean, accidentally funny, my dad. Probably funny on purpose, maybe, probably my sister. But we've all got different strengths. What's bizarre is me and my brother were both just sharing a apartment and both doing the Melbourne Comedy Festival, and it's just wild. If anyone went to see us both on the same night, we're just so different. I'm loud, aggressive, and shambolic, and he's very quiet and precise. And because he sings on stage as well, he started wearing in-ears, and that made him even quieter.
Oh,
and
wow.
because I was in a room that had like really good acoustics, I was loud, barely using the microphone. Like, I was basically just yelling the whole hour, and it's just crazy. Anyone who saw us would not guess, besides maybe a few physical resemblance, would never guess we're siblings because we're so different. And then my sister's different again.
Yeah, I like that.
Wild.
Hey, the ADHD recent diagnosis.
Yeah.
Did you need it? Has it changed?
Nah, it was
for you?
accidental and non-consensual. Sorry for cutting you off. That's an ADHD trait right there. No, it was non-consensual because they were like, do you want to be in a documentary about ADHD? And I was like, I hadn't really thought it through. I did give it enough thought and obviously did consent to being in it.
Sure.
But like, most people go, or someone tells them they should get tested or they think they need to get tested. And I didn't have that at all. I had an ex-girlfriend actually say you might have ADHD, and I kind of went to a therapist, not like a person who would diagnose it, not a psychologist, but someone who from the industry who would have an opinion. And his opinion was I don't have it and don't need to go any further. So I kind of just parked it. And then this documentary came along, and I was like, it seems like a great opportunity, and it's a chance to be on TVNZ, the fancy channel, and stuff like that.
And supporting your sister, right?
And absolutely being part of it for my sister, and it was a huge thing for her. And also once she got diagnosed, I wouldn't know the exact figures, but it's highly likely if one person has it, the rest of the family or multiple other people have it. Yeah. Obviously, one parent probably has it. But what's hilarious about my parents is they're both denying it. But they're both. I was like, Dad, if you don't have ADHD, you got something worse. So I was like, just claim the ADHD, you know. But probably on my mum's side for that. But again, my dad, we've all got something, right?
Yeah.
But it was quite weird to do it, but it was good.
But I suppose my question was, which you didn't answer.
Sorry.
I don't get to say that very often.
Yeah. I wasn't trying to avoid it.
I would have got that all the time.
Yeah.
Has it changed anything for you having that diagnosis? Because there's quite, I know a couple of people, and we've discussed it, and I'm pretty sure they've gone, oh, who cares? I'm not going to take meds. I'm just going to get on with it.
That's exactly what I experienced, and I think that's such an interesting. What happened was I got diagnosed, and it was a bit of a shock because I didn't think I had ADHD. I mean, it seems obvious in retrospect because it's like I talk loudly, I talk fast, I don't shut up, I drive a bit crazy. Like there's reasons for me obviously having it, but I always thought I could change those. Like I thought my narrative of myself was that I had built this personality based on being a comedian, and I started actually the opposite, very quiet and deadpan, and I developed this because especially when you're doing a gig in small town New Zealand, sometimes you need to scream into the microphone and go, listen, Tokoroa, shut up, I'm doing a gig now, and you got to, it's like being a politician, you become louder, you got to speak up in the house. And so I thought I'd developed this personality kind of based on that, but anyway, it was a bit of a shock, but it's been nothing but a positive. I can lean on that and use an excuse now, because previously I was just late and rude, and now it's like I actually feel accept more from me because I'm officially diagnosed, which is bad because it's like I shouldn't lean on that. But, like my little quirks there is a technical definition behind them. But also it means you can just, in New Zealand, we're not very introspective about what's going on inside. And it's going, there is something. People have always thought I was a bit weird. So I was like, there's definitely something that you can point to going, I'm definitely someone, as you said, I've been known as abrasive in the past and stuff like that. And I was like, there's definitely, in my TV career, there's definitely been a desire to get a reaction, whatever it might be, and not being afraid of it being a bad reaction, which is I think a pretty negative way to be sometimes, but just like, and that maybe I'm being crazy here, and maybe an ADHD expert will watch this and go, he's out of control. But I was like, it makes a bit more sense, that constant searching for high peaks of something, doesn't matter what it is. It could be anger, it could be fear, it could be a scare. It doesn't matter. It's just like, that's what I'm searching for. It kind of explains a lot.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I do get that. Do you want my Tokoroa story?
I'd love a Tokoroa story.
Okay, I'm on the stage. I'm at the prize giving, and all the parents are kind of standing around the edges. The kids are all there. We've got patches. We've got everything going on. It's Toke.
Yeah.
I'm on stage. I'm trying to give them a speech, and I'm trying to do my thing. And the next thing you know, the loudest bangs you've ever heard, to the point where I thought there was gunshots, and some kid had snuck up behind and threw fireworks on the stage.
Wow!
Everyone just freaked out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, absolutely.
I'd be freaking. Fireworks a big bang.
But I realised pretty quickly what it was. And then I realised, I had the microphone. I had a responsibility to keep this crowd calm. Because it was actually, there were people that could have lost it, and the principal was starting to lose it. I shouldn't say the principal, it was someone, everyone was kind of freaked out and starting to lose it. And I just went, actually, this is a tough crowd, and if a bit of a fight broke out, this could be quite the brawl, So I just made a joke of it. I always thought I'd go off with a bang. I just did every lame joke you could possibly think of, just to try and. But I've never forgotten it. There was a minute I thought, okay.
Was there maybe like the shock of the moment though? But it was like an hour later. I was like, so you were a minister at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had security.
No.
Oh, what?
No.
How ropey is New Zealand?
I'm Paula bloody Bennett.
Yeah.
I don't need no security.
But you joke about that, but there must have been many times in your career where you were worried about your safety.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's great.
For sure.
I like you going real. You look at you change. It's like,
sure.
But it's like that's the Kiwi way. It's like, we're all good, mate. And then you're like, no, it's terrifying.
Oh no, there's terrifying moments. Let's not go.
But just to rewind, it's getting worse because of people misinformation on the internet.
Yeah.
It's like people think Jacinda is trying to inject them with vaccines to poison them so Bill Gates can control their minds. If you think that, you can see why there is a security threat there.
Yeah.
And it was lost. I mean, understandably so, by a much bigger story that happened a week later, as happens in politics sometimes. But I don't know if you remember, but it's very serious. And I remember it well because, I was quite involved in the Green Party at the time. But James Shaw, the leader of the Green Party, was just walking to work in Parliament, and he was just a random nutter, just got out of the car and punched him multiple times in the face.
Yeah.
And it like bystanders had to come and step in, and it was just forgotten about because I think it was a huge tragedy, like probably the Christchurch shooting happened a week later, but it was, that story was just lost. And I was like, I don't think people realize the risk that even Kiwi politicians are in.
Yeah.
There are guns out there. There are nutters out there. There's people who think politicians are trying to ruin their lives. And so it's like, it's scary. And so it's like, if I was a security, I'm shocked you didn't have security there.
No.
And the firework going off, like, amazing. Yeah, what a story.
One of my supporters was delivering brochures, so was just in one of my T-shirts because it was campaign time, so going around stuffing things in letterboxes, and a car stopped and got out and punched him in the face to the point where it broke his glasses.
Wow. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's like he was just a good old bloke that was out walking the streets.
And that's why I feel bad about joking about how fun it is to throw a dildo in a politician's face. But that was funny, and I hope they selected a soft dildo. Like, I assume that was thought through. I always thought New Zealand should have a culture, because there's such a culture of throwing things at politicians. There should be. I almost think it should be part of. Maybe not part of Waitangi, but maybe a week before, part of the celebrations, just to take the steam off. I was like, imagine if you had a day where you had
sponge.
Yeah, throw water balloons at politicians or take some of that anger out. I was like, it might humanize some of the less human seeming politicians, or it might help like just ease the tension a little bit. Okay. It's part of Kiwi culture. You don't agree with that?
Well, you're an ideas man.
We'll shelve that one.
I think we'll need to think about that one.
Sorry.
Okay, Guy, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, let's have a chat about your new comedy show, about being outspoken and pushing boundaries.
Yeah.
And we'll have to touch on that globalisation, people.
Great tease, Paula.
You are back with Ask Me Anything. I'm Paula Bennett, but my guest today is comedian and telly host Guy Williams. Okay, we've got to do the show.
Yeah.
Right? New Zealand International Comedy is underway.
Oh, this is the plug, yeah. It doesn't need much of a plug. I'm doing stand-up in Auckland and Wellington and in Australia.
Okay, it's called, though, if you mildly criticise me, I'll say it's cancel culture and turn to the alt-right. So the title was something. This is where you do get your plug. This is honestly my favourite quote. Guy Williams offers a chaotic mix of rage, sarcasm, bleakness and wit, all blasted out with the indiscriminate focus of a spree shooter.
That was a recent mixed review I got. Yeah, and I thought it was such a nice quote.
I just loved it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate something that's actually, they put, I don't know if it's a he or she, they put a bit of thought into that though.
Yeah, it was.
Which I quite like.
Yeah, there's a professional reviewer. It's crazy that like traditional media has gone so bad that they have to fly a reviewer to Melbourne from the UK. But it's like a well-known British comedy website called Chortle. And they gave all the Kiwi comedians 3.5 stars. So we're all a bit disappointed because 3 stars is kind of bad. 4 stars is you put it on your poster because you're proud of it.
Yeah.
And I got 4 stars last time and I was pretty proud of that. But I'm down to 3.5 now.
But you should just put that quote up.
Yeah,
you should just put that quote up.
Yeah, and it pretty much sums me up as well. Because I think I'm normal, but I'm out the gate.
So is anything off limits?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And the audience tells you that as well. Like, I don't like when comedians are like, oh, it's cancel culture or you can't talk about that or whatever. It's like, the audience will tell you. The problem is the audience will sometimes laugh at stuff that's horrific. It's like, I've made comments where I've like, oh, it's got a big laugh and I'm like, I shouldn't have said that or I regret saying that.
Yeah.
But
that's life. We've all done that. The difference is you're doing it on stage, I suppose, in front of a whole lot of people.
Yeah, you just did a backhold. You had a backhanded joke there. You said I was doing it on stage as opposed to in front of a whole lot of people. I'm normally doing it in front of a lot of people, but you do it in front of. When you're a politician, you do it in a more important platform than what I do it in. It's a bar.
I used to get cross with myself for arguing with people, whereas you quite like an argument, and I just think, oh, why didn't I let it go?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm working on it. It's not a good part of my personality, but yeah, just growing up, it's something I'm learning about in therapy is like. Yeah, it's like I enjoy arguing and it's like there's a time and a place for it. But sadly, again, it's social media. It's like we've taken to a place now where it's not okay and we've become so tribal. It's like I want good, fun, spirited debate and, like not even debate, just enjoy having a yarn and then moving on and going, yeah, agree to disagree or whatever, however we sit. But it's gone to a bad place. Saying you enjoy to argue these days now is an insult, whereas I used to think it was a compliment. Things have changed.
Is it? let's just touch on the boundaries thing, because you do push people and push boundaries.
Yes.
I mean, and even things like, I was thinking about Leo Malloy's a friend of mine, and so, and I was just thinking about that interview when he was doing the mural race.
Yeah.
That interview. And I mean, he completely did that himself and went off on his tangents like he does and quite liked it. But you were quite conflicted afterwards, because it was almost like he was getting more attention. I remember you reading something.
Yeah. It was the Leo Malloy interview was an interesting one. I'd say we're both very similar personalities, and we're both confrontational in that, macho way of like arguing and debating, or whatever you want to call it. And it was like, it's not often that I meet someone who's so clearly cut from the same cloth, and so it was a weird interaction. But it was just the whole thing was just so bizarre, because when you would know this, it was like a political scandal. Well, it was a political scandal,
yeah.
But like the way it was picked up, where it was a weird thing where you're getting criticized by both sides and complimented by both sides, and it's like the division in media. It's really interesting the way those things get spun. And it was like, the spin-off was criticizing me fairly for platforming, and then other platforms were criticizing me for not being critical enough, but then other platforms were saying I ended his career or whatever. It was so, you could read five different articles and have 5 different views on it. It's like looking at a magic eye or some sort of illusion.
Yeah.
And that's the sad thing about social media. It's like, I guess I was going to call it art, but that's a bit high praise. But it's like everyone can watch the interview and take a different thing away.
So when you go into, like, particularly with the New Zealand Today, and when you go into those towns, do you know how the story is going to go?
No, never.
You've done your research. And you know that you've got the guy that stole the monkey, and so you've read the background, but you've got no idea where that's going to go.
That's the annoying thing. Yeah, and it's like, you have a plan, but like, the monkey guy was good because he was up for anything, and he was like really chill. And you kind of know that other people are going to be, but so often I want it to go away and it doesn't go the way I want it to go. And that happens all the time, obviously. You can never prepare, and it's annoying. Sometimes you have a big setup, you've spent money on it, and then the talent doesn't want to do it, so you can't do it or whatever. It's just like, you can't change people's opinions. I'm trying to think of funny recent examples, but like, it actually helped me. I had a controversial interview last season with the mayor of Invercargill.
Yeah.
And Nobby Clark, I thought we were going to talk sense. It was going to be a big misunderstanding. And it was going to be like, I was going to mock him for what he did, which was say the N-word repeatedly. And then we were going to go like, I could kind of like almost be a teachable moment for an older generation who doesn't realize that word is absolutely no off limits. It's like, yeah, you might have said it as a joke or as a racial slur or whatever back in the day, but it's not okay, it's not cool now. And then we kind of like, we move on, we learn, and he has like a redemption. That's what I was planning on. We even set up a concert. The joke was that we'd have him emceeing a rap concert, right? Yeah. And then it was just a disaster because the interview just went it was supposed to be an hour interview. We were there for like ages, and there's a scene where I got out a whiteboard at one point and started slamming my head into it. I think that made the footage. But not only did he say the N-word again in the interview, but then it was just a chaotic disaster. If he had a PR person, they might be able to help him out. But I was just like, I didn't realize where he was coming from, and I just completely lost control of the situation. And then he didn't come to the second part of the interview, which was the rap concert. But I was like, thank God, because then I would have been stuck in a bad situation where he hadn't redeemed himself at all, and I would have been platforming him. And it would have been like, Nobby's, because I always want the segments to finish with, it's all good at the end. Like my director always jokes, I always want to hug them at the end and be like, it's all good. We've had our differences, we've worked it out, and we've got a conclusion. Yeah. But with Nobby, it was like, there was no conclusion, there was no redemption. It was a bloody disaster. And there was no kind of redeem. It was just, it was out of control.
Because you do believe in the good in people. I mean, as you said, in the first half when you were talking about our towns and our country and all the rest of it, I mean, that's really, really genuine for you.
Yeah.
And you do, and you want to find the
And that's New Zealand. It comes across better because it's like, there's things that make us fake, right? Money, drugs, power, alcohol. There's like things that we get caught on that like ruin us. And it creates evil, or whatever we want to call evil, or war or power, whatever it is. And I like to think that Kiwis, we have less of these influences. You can't get good drugs here. No one's very powerful. No one's got much money. So we can always have a bit of a laugh, and you can go like, nothing's very serious. It's New Zealand. Who gives a shit? The stakes are very low. And that's what I like to think is the message of New Zealand today. It's like, it doesn't matter what our differences are. We can have a laugh and kind of, use comedy to like maybe get through some of these trickier situations. But with the internet and people getting brainwashed or whatever, it's like people become so serious and so obsessed sometimes. And it's like, I don't know what Nobby was on, but I do believe, and TV3 made me cut some of the bits out because they didn't want me to perpetuate racial stereotypes, but I do believe it was pretty serious. This is the huge cultural issue that we face at the moment, is that people feel repressed by culture, by whatever they want to, there's a whole bunch of terms, right? We've got political correctness, now we call it woke or whatever it is. And Leo was big on this as well. And I'm like, there's a whole generation of people who feel repressed by being told they're not allowed to say this or being told they're racist for saying this. And as a result are lashing back and they're like, oh, well, I can't say that now. Well, I'm going to be the worst person you've ever seen or vote for Donald Trump. I was like, that doesn't prove it. Like there's a compromise there. It's like, you can always push boundaries. It's like, you can say whatever you want, but it's like, you've got to be aware of people's sensitivities. Yeah. And that's what people they don't realize the process that we've gone through. And it is from people who have got a left slant or something, we can be too hard on people and we can pull the trigger too quick on calling someone racist. But you have to understand that like what racism is, and it's so. Oh, look, here I am. I'm out of my depth.
We are going.
But do you get what I mean? That it's like these people want to break free of that, and it breaks free in the worst ways, and that's why Nobby's saying the N-word, and he wants to be cheeky, he wants to push the boundaries, he wants to be heard, he wants to be the big man, and that's how he does it.
Yeah,
and
as you say, we're seeing it now. Yeah,
a little bit. It's not. I mean, there's a million other reasons, but it's
so let's just discuss that on the because you have your theories on the Americanization, if you like, of our society, and I've been thinking about it a lot lately, as we all should be, really, is that, you know, what's happening in America, is it, you know, can it and is it, and are we going to be influenced it? And
massively influenced. And right now, New Zealand First is trying to define a woman or whatever, which sounds good. On paper, it sounds like, define a woman, why not? But then you realise why it's being used, which is to weaponise against trans people, and you're like, oh, you know, it's like this populism, right? It's like you say something on the surface which sounds fine and is actually potentially harmful.
Yeah. I'm not going to go down our local politics because it's just...
You can't get in there. You've done enough of it. You can take a break now. Relax.
But I do want to talk about, because, you know, people are genuinely worried, and they are genuinely, you know, and they should be, and I understand that. But you kind of go, it's the internet and it's all of that. This is where I'm going to not disagree with you. Yeah. I'm going to use my mother hat for you.
I would love to hear it.
It happened in the 80s. So I remember my parents, because I was a teenager in the 80s, and I remember my parents going, what is this terrible music? Yeah. And of course it was rap, and then we were wearing the bloody hammer pants, the MC hammer pants. And and so that was TV and music. Yeah. And we moved from that British culture more into Americanization. Certainly of that Americanization. Then you're probably right that it has increased with the internet. But I did read that you sort of say, oh, it's the internet and all that. No, it was happening before that.
You're absolutely,
we were
absolutely
right. I just, you know, and you've seen it. But I do think we've got more of our own culture. You're always going to have your nutters that go down their rabbit holes and go down there. Yeah. And I'm not referring to politics and that. I just mean people. But then I think that we have got our own culture stronger than we ever had.
Yeah, I hope so, and you're absolutely right. And because we're coming out of like strong British colonial system, so it's like you're right. You were replacing like a British style of culture, or like loving Britain to loving American hammer pants. It was just like the change. But no, I guess my point is that it has been massively increased. And what you're talking about is soft power. That's all good. Hammer pants, harmless. Oh. Wear all the Ariana Grande t-shirts you want to wear or whatever, or listen to country music. Where it's a problem is it's now exporting. I mean, we've always got that, I guess, but like we're getting American toxic political culture coming here. You look at Australia where the big parties are trying to create a two-party system, like more like American. Even the way we run our politics where it's like a presidential debate, even though it's a party-based system in New Zealand, but like we look at the Prime Minister as being this like president when it's not that. Yeah. And it's like that's just the media basing on America, the presidential system's popular, so we'll do that here in New Zealand as well. I've got a few really good examples of this, but they're slipping in my mind at the moment. But do you not see that like the culture war that Trump is spinning is just like you see MAGA flags in New Zealand, you're like, you make America great again in New Zealand? At least Shane Jones has the decency to make New Zealand great again. Yeah. At least change it to like a different colour. But make America great again in New Zealand and saying that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's like all these issues which don't affect us at all. all. I got friends who are worried about a trans athlete swimming in Montana in NCAA Division 2. And it's like, Division 2, at least Division 1. But it's so far removed. It's clearly a cultural issue that is not specific to us, and we can do it at our own time. But no, the internet means that like we're as engaged with American politics as well as New Zealand.
Aren't there people though that are just looking for something to get angry about?
Yeah, but that's the internet, and we all are, and that's the problem. And that's the internet is this huge anxiety machine going, watch out for AI, watch out for this, watch out for that. And it's cooking our brains.
I'm so much more chilled than I used to be.
But that's because you're a bad example. That's a survey of one and a bad example because you came from the crazy world of politics into normal
and in
life.
My teenage, I was just such an angry teenager. I was fantastic. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, no punk out to, the world pissed me off. So, and like when people would say to my husband, because he's known me since I was like 19, and they say to my husband, "Oh, you got a tiger by the tail there, mate."
Yeah.
Great, sexy. Yeah. Oh, you got yourself a stroppy one there, and he'd go, "God, you should have known her at 19."
So were you politically active or just like more music, or where did it come from?
It was more very patriarchal family, so I just felt like I had to fight for my rights, and
like as a woman, was it feminism?
Yeah,
awesome,
yeah, definitely.
That's so condescending. Good on you, awesome.
Thank you. Thanks.
But what was interesting about that to me is you ended up in what people would call a conservative party. Was that a bit of a swing, or was that for you?
Well, my father would usually support minor parties, but like social credit or, he just always used to say, you don't trust the big bastards. And then it was, part of it was, where do I think I can make the biggest change? And I could have gone either way. And then because I'd kind of pulled myself up by my bootstraps, that's what lent me into in my opinion, how can I empower and grow other people? Yeah,
that's a very good answer that you've rehearsed many times, but I appreciate it.
Well,
sorry, I was being a knob.
Yeah,
okay.
no.
Okay.
I thought about it. Like, I could have gone either way. Grant Robertson was a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And so of course we used to debate and talk politics all the time.
You see, as a layperson listening to a politician speak, though, you are so slick. I remember I laughed out loud. One of my favourite moments of maybe 2005 election was Helen Clark, and she got asked a really hard question as a politician. She goes, "What's your biggest weakness?" And that's hard because they want you to admit something, and then they can use it as cannon fodder if you say anything that's attackable, right? So you got to be. And she said the funniest answer. She said, "Working too hard and caring too much."
Yeah.
And I was like, you're getting a line there. I don't know if they've rehearsed that, but I was like, I felt like I was getting a line there from you. But I could be wrong, but you saying like, I just want to see where I could affect the most change for hardworking New Zealanders. That's what I felt like you're giving me there.
Yeah.
Sorry to be an asshole.
If I'd gone into Labour, I just would have been one of 50. When I went international, I was different.
Yeah.
Right? And so I actually ended up having more of a voice.
No, you're correct. You're correct in saying that. But
because I was different.
Yeah.
So I probably actually feel like I influenced even within my own party and policy more than I don't know. That's how I felt anyway. Okay, we're going to end this segment. And to end this segment, what we're going to do is you're going to tell me, because we're supposed to be giving advice, you're going to tell me the best advice you've had and who was it from?
From my dad, Gary Williams, shout out. He's a New Zealand Herald listener, so he'll love being part of this. New Zealand Herald listener, I've lost my mind. Subscriber or whatever. I would like to say, and support independent journalism, I should say that. I've clashed with the New Zealand Herald many times in my past, but I was like, holy shivers. The state of New Zealand media right now. Were you involved in broadcasting at one point, like in terms of?
Oh no,
never. It was never one of your portfolios.
Did a bit of no, it wasn't.
But it was like, because I was like, you must be like, man, the state of New Zealand media and like how important that is to democracy is dire.
Really worries me.
So it's like I've always clashed with the New Zealand Herald, but I'm like, man, I got to subscribe because it's like we've got to take what we can get, and just in terms of just getting not information from Facebook or whatever. But in terms of New Zealand Herald, my dad's advice. Sorry, I'm off track all the time. My dad's advice was ability is one thing, reliability is everything. And I haven't been very reliable in my life or career. I was late to this interview. Sorry about that. But I realize like showing up is half the battle. And if you get in and get stuck in, like good things will happen. You have a good attitude. People will want to work with you. And I've been very lucky. Touch wood. I'm glad this is a wooden seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I like the advice. I like it a lot. So people have got to go and watch you and hear you because that's your plug. Come on.
Yeah. I don't have
just
to
go
come.
on and go and buy some tickets.
Comedy is subjective.
Is your brother on?
Yeah, my brother's nicer.
Well?
If you don't want like abrasive aggressive politics, and maybe my brother's nice. He's beautiful songs. He's soft.
So that's Paul.
Paul, yeah.
I'm just
and my sister's doing a show as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but I'd say you don't have to see someone directly related to me. I would recommend everyone just check out the comedy festival.
Yeah, good.
It's so cool. And the thing about comedy that I think the older generation might struggle with a little bit is that it's such a broad spectrum. And it's like you normally people who are like you. So if you're an old man, go see you don't have to go see a 22-year-old talking about Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
You can go see an old man talking about how the 22-year-olds talking about Taylor Swift are annoying, Like, it's like annoying how people feel. And I guess it's a problem, the part of mass broadcasting is people go, oh, what are these new kids doing on 7 days or whatever? It's like you find there's hundreds of shows in Auckland and Wellington and touring around the country. It's like, go find the comedian that's right for you, do a bit of research, and enjoy it.
Go on. He's told you what to do, and I think that's a good thing to do. And that's it for another episode of Ask Me Anything. If you've enjoyed this chaotic episode.
Was this chaotic?
It was chaotic.
I thought it was good.
It was great. But, so chaotic's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I like a bit of chaos.
And I was trying to get away from the paper. I'm like, I'm
only now reading my end bit. I think I've done well.
You've been amazing, but I'd love to talk to you for more, and I wish I could ask you more questions because you're more interesting.
Okay, please follow Ask Me Anything on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you check out some of our past fabulous guests while you are there. I'll be back next Sunday answering more of life's big questions.
Who are the past guests?
Oh my goodness, Robin Malcolm?
Oh, I'd love to choose into
Robin.
that.
She was just so much fun. I really, really enjoyed talking to her.
Yeah.
I've just had so many fabulous people.
She's been your highlight so far?
I think she was not, I don't want to say, because it might sound slightly demeaning, but, Robin and I had such different politics, right? But you and me, and she had been very activist. And of course, I'm a Westie, and she played Cheryl West. So in some respects,
interesting.
I genuinely in my heart thought she was just a goddess.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of hard when you think your goddess doesn't like you.
Yeah, but
then I sat there with her and we just have this most amazing conversation, and I come away feeling enlightened, better about the world, and feeling like I've just met an awesome woman.
Yeah, well,
How much fun is that?
Who just quickly, who's the worst person you've had on?
I can't say that.
You can say me.
Oh yeah, I could.
That would be an easy
But you're
joke.
not. But you're not.
Could I use my one question, or do we run out of time?
Go on then. Okay, Guy, the podcast is called Ask Me Anything, and so far I've done all the asking.
You don't need to read that. It's like
But I haven't done all the asking. Go on then. Where's your question?
My question was going to be, and I just wondered this, because I was like, I have the same concern. Like, there's a little bit of anxiety in me coming into this interview and stuff like that. It's always hard. But you just hit the nail on the head. I had a different question, but I'm going to use my one on this. You talked about the anxiety of talking to Robin Malcolm because you're worried she might not like you because you have had a long public career and a lot of people who disagree with you.
Yeah.
Is that something, as a former politician, and I'm not judging you on this, I'm saying that haunts you? You go like, oh, I'm sitting down with Guy, I've probably been critical of you in the past. You have to have your guard up for these interviews and the people you talk to who are outside of your political spectrum because you're worried that Robin Malcolm might use this as an opportunity to rip into you because she disagrees with your politics or something like that,
No.
It's not, okay.
Is that a good answer?
Good answer.
Quite genuinely, no.
Okay.
So it wasn't so much anxiety that she wouldn't like me. It was just that I kind of liked her so much that I wanted her to. Generally, I don't care whether you like me or not. And without sounding completely egotistical, I genuinely think I'm reasonably good at this, and I'll relax you enough that I've got no intention of gotcha politics, or a gotcha interview.
Well,
if you don't want to say something, I would never ask a question that you didn't want. That's not what this podcast is.
Because I used to be someone who always said to people, oh, I don't care what anyone thinks, but it's like I do. And it's like when you're in a public persona, it's like I piss people off, and sometimes I'm like, oh well, I can't help my opinion of that person. But it's like politics is a brutal game. So you don't run into situations where you're like, I'm at this position and I'm going to potentially be a hostile crowd. You got battle armor.
I used to really enjoy the really lefty crowds. And I'd walk in and I'd feel the hate.
Yeah, pantomime villain.
I would walk in and they would just, I could literally almost, sometimes a room would almost pulsate. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And I would, I would really enjoy the challenge of going, I'm going gonna win 3 people and have 5 be neutral, and the other 100 can keep on hating me.
But it must be a little bit grinding, or nah?
No, because it's the only reason they don't like me is because of my politics. It's not because of who I am.
Yeah.
And that's not all of who I am.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with being a comedian. It's like, oh, people don't like me, and it's because of who I am.
Well, no, I was going to say, my joke is there's people who do know who I am that don't like me.
Yeah.
That's quite different. Okay, we need to wrap up.
Thanks for having me on.
You're really welcome. And that's it for another episode of Ask Me Anything. I've already tried to do my outro and we've gone off track again.
Sorry.
So I am Paula Bennett.
I've got an ADHD certificate.
I am Paula Bennett. Ask Me Anything. Goodbye.
Thanks so much for having me. I genuinely had a lovely time. I'd love to talk longer.